The morning sun poured across the glass walls of Harper Global headquarters, turning the towering building into a shining mirror that reflected the busy city around it. Luxury cars glided through the front gates one after another, their polished paint sparkling under the clear sky. Employees hurried toward the entrance carrying expensive briefcases, tablets, and steaming cups of coffee. Everyone moved with purpose because today was the company's monthly board meeting, the most important meeting of the month. Executives from across the country had gathered to discuss new investments, future projects, and billion-dollar decisions. Every minute mattered. At the far corner of the executive parking lot, an old blue pickup truck slowly pulled into an empty space. The truck looked like it had traveled hundreds of thousands of miles. Its paint had faded from years under the sun, the front bumper was dented, and rust marked the edges of the doors. Compared with the sleek luxury sedans and expensive SUVs surrounding it, the truck seemed completely out of place. Several employees walking past glanced at it before continuing toward the building. Some whispered to each other, wondering who would bring such a vehicle into the executive parking area. Inside the truck sat Ethan Carter, a 37-year-old single father with tired eyes and rough hands that revealed years of hard work. He checked the time on his old wristwatch and let out a slow breath. Every delivery mattered to his small logistics business, but today's assignment felt different. The package resting beside him had been marked personal, delivery only, and the instructions clearly stated that it had to be placed directly into the hands of Chairman Raymond Brooks before 9 o'clock. Beside Ethan sat his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. She wore a bright yellow sweater and held a small stuffed rabbit that had been with her since she was a baby. She looked through the windshield at the enormous glass building and smiled with amazement. "Dad," she asked softly, "is this where the really important people work?" Ethan smiled. "I guess so. It's bigger than my school." He laughed quietly. "It sure is." Lily looked around at all the expensive cars. "Our truck doesn't look very fancy." Ethan gently squeezed her shoulder. "No, sweetheart. But it brought us here safely, and that's what matters." She smiled. "I like our truck anyway." "So do I." The truck wasn't just transportation. It represented every sacrifice Ethan had made after losing his wife 5 years earlier. Since then, he had raised Lily alone while working long days and even longer nights. He accepted deliveries that others rejected, drove through storms, repaired his truck himself whenever it broke down, and often skipped meals so Lily would never have to. Life had been difficult, but he never complained. His father had taught him that honest work always carried dignity. No matter what people thought, Ethan picked up the carefully wrapped package. "I'll only be a few minutes." Lily nodded. "I'll wait right here. If anyone asks, stay inside with the doors locked. I promise." He smiled proudly before stepping out of the truck. As he walked toward the building, no one noticed him. He was simply another delivery driver in plain work clothes carrying another package. In a place filled with expensive suits and important titles, he seemed invisible. Exactly at 8 o'clock. The quiet rhythm of the parking lot suddenly changed. Long black luxury SUV rolled through the main entrance and stopped directly. In front of the executive doors, conversations immediately paused. Employees straightened their jackets. Security. Guards stood a little taller. Everyone recognized the vehicle. The rear door opened, and CEO Victoria Hale stepped onto the pavement. Victoria was known throughout the business world as one of the youngest and most successful CEOs in the country. She had transformed Harper Global into a technology powerhouse through bold decisions and relentless discipline. Newspapers praised her intelligence and determination, but employees often described her as demanding, impatient, and impossible to impress. She believed appearances reflected standards, and she expected perfection in everything connected to the company. Dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit, Victoria walked confidently toward the entrance while 2 assistants and several executives hurried behind her. Then she stopped. Her eyes locked onto the old blue pickup truck. Her expression hardened immediately. She looked from the rusty vehicle to the polished luxury cars surrounding it. "Whose truck is that?" she asked sharply. The people around her exchanged uncertain glances. One assistant quickly checked the parking records on a tablet. "It's not registered to any executive." Victoria frowned. "Does it belong to an employee?" "I don't think so." She folded her arms. "It shouldn't be." Here, nobody spoke. The parking lot became strangely quiet. Victoria pointed directly at the truck. It ruins the appearance of the executive entrance. The security supervisor stepped closer. Ma'am, perhaps we should first locate the owner. Victoria barely looked at him. I don't have time for that, but there may be... She interrupted him. Have it towed. The supervisor hesitated. Immediately, his shoulders sank. Yes, ma'am. As he signaled the towing company waiting nearby, several employees watched with uncomfortable expressions. They knew the order felt unnecessarily harsh, but no one wanted to challenge the CEO in front of so many people. Meanwhile, Ethan entered the impressive marble lobby carrying the package. The cool air inside contrasted with the warm morning outside. Huge crystal lights hung from the ceiling, and elegant artwork decorated the walls. Everything reflected wealth and success. He approached the reception desk politely. Good morning. The receptionist smiled. Good morning. How may I help you? I'm here with a personal delivery for Chairman Raymond Brooks. Her smile faded into surprise. Chairman Brooks? Yes. She looked at the delivery label. He specifically requested that I bring this directly to him. She picked up the phone. Please give me just a moment. As she began calling the executive floor, 2 security officers walked toward Ethan. One cleared his throat. Sir. Ethan turned. Yes? There seems to be an issue with your vehicle. My truck? The CEO has ordered it removed. Ethan frowned. What? It's being towed. For a second, he simply stared. Then his face changed completely. My daughter is still inside. Both security officers froze. What did you say? My little girl is waiting in the truck. Without another word, Ethan ran. He rushed through the lobby, pushed open the revolving doors, and sprinted across the front entrance. Outside, the tow truck had already lifted the front wheels of his pickup off the ground. The truck tilted awkwardly as chains tightened beneath it. Inside, Lily looked terrified. She pressed both hands against the window. Daddy! Her frightened voice echoed across the parking lot. Ethan's heart pounded. Stop! The tow operator slammed on the brakes and immediately lowered the controls. Security guards rushed forward. Employees turned to watch. For several seconds, the entire parking lot stood frozen. One officer hurried to the passenger side and carefully opened the door. Lily climbed out with tears, streaming down her face before running straight into her father's arms. He knelt and held her tightly. It's okay, he whispered. You're safe. She buried her face against his shoulder. I was scared. I know. I'm here. Several employees quietly looked away, clearly uncomfortable with what had just happened. Even the tow truck driver appeared shaken. He had never been told a child was inside. Across the parking lot, Victoria watched the scene unfold. For a brief moment, there was silence. Some people expected an apology. Others expected anger from Ethan. Instead, he gently wiped Lily's tears and stood up. He walked toward the CEO with calm, steady steps. Victoria met his eyes without showing emotion. The parking area is reserved for executives, she said. Next time, park somewhere appropriate. Ethan looked at her for a long moment. There was no hatred in his expression, only disappointment. Then he quietly asked, May I still deliver the package? His calm response surprised everyone. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult her. He simply wanted to finish the job he had promised to complete. The unexpected dignity in his words left several employees feeling ashamed. They had witnessed a man whose child had just been placed in danger, yet he remained respectful and focused on his responsibility. Without waiting for an answer, Ethan took Lily's hand, picked up the package he had carefully protected throughout the chaos, and walked back toward the headquarters. Behind him, the parking lot remained silent. Nobody realized that within the next few minutes, the old pickup truck everyone had dismissed would become the center of the most unforgettable board meeting Harper Global had ever experienced.